Grand Admiral Cho Soo-hyung stood before the massive viewport of the orbital station above the former Galactic Council capital. Below her, the planet's surface showed signs of reconstruction, as billions of beings worked to build a new kind of government. The old towers of the Council had been torn down, replaced by assembly halls where every species had an equal voice. "Admiral, the War Crimes Tribunal has reached its verdicts," reported her aide, Commander Park. "What did they decide?" "The surviving Council leadership has been found guilty of genocide, slavery, and crimes against sapient life. However, the tribunal recommends rehabilitation rather than execution." Soo-hyung nodded. It was a very human decision. Despite everything the Council had done, humanity had chosen justice over revenge. The aliens who had planned to exterminate every human would live, but they would spend their remaining years helping to rebuild the worlds they had destroyed. "What about the military commanders who participated in the attacks on human colonies?" "Similar sentences. They'll work alongside human engineers to restore the colonies they helped destroy." Through the viewport, Soo-hyung could see ships from dozens of species working together to clean up the debris left by the final battle. Former enemies were now partners in the largest construction project in galactic history. President Park Yoon-seo walked through the halls of the new Galactic Assembly, where representatives from over 400 worlds were debating the structure of their new government. The building had been designed with input from every member species, creating a space that was both functional and beautiful. "Madam President, the Constitution Committee has finished its work," reported her secretary, Minister Kim. "What are the main principles?" "Universal sapient rights, democratic representation based on population rather than military strength, and the right of every species to self-determination. No single species or alliance can control more than 20% of the government." Park smiled. The new constitution was everything the old Galactic Council had not been. Instead of rule by the strongest, it established government by consent. Instead of species hierarchy, it created genuine equality. "When will the final vote take place?" "Next week. Early polls suggest overwhelming support from all member worlds." The transformation had been remarkable. Species that had been enemies for millennia were now working together to create something that had never existed before: a truly representative galactic government. Admiral Kim Tae-young oversaw the integration of alien and human technologies in the new joint research facilities. What had once been separate competing scientific communities were now collaborating on projects that benefited everyone. "Admiral, the fusion power project is showing promising results," reported Dr. Song, the facility's director. "By combining human engineering with crystalline physics and Nexari computing, we've achieved energy output levels that none of us could reach alone." "What about space travel technology?" "The Joint Hyperspace Research Team has developed engines that are 50% faster than anything previously available. The galaxy is becoming a much smaller place." Kim walked through laboratories where beings from dozens of species worked side by side. Human creativity combined with alien knowledge was producing innovations at an unprecedented pace. "How long until these technologies are available to everyone?" "The new government has mandated that all research be shared freely. We're not developing weapons or tools to give one species an advantage over others. We're developing solutions to problems that affect everyone." It was a revolutionary concept. For the first time in galactic history, scientific progress was aimed at improving life for all species, rather than giving military advantages to a few. Director Lee Hai-wan chaired the first meeting of the Galactic Diplomatic Corps, where former enemies learned to resolve conflicts through negotiation rather than warfare. The Corps included representatives from every major species, trained in new methods of peaceful dispute resolution. "Today we're dealing with a territorial dispute between the Rigel Federation and the Centauri Alliance," she announced to the assembled diplomats. "Under the old system, this would have been resolved by whoever had the stronger military. Under our new system, we find solutions that work for everyone." Ambassador Vex, the former Vorthak representative who had once dismissed humans as primitive, raised one of his forearms. "Director Lee, my species has difficulty accepting that former prey species now have equal status in these negotiations." Ambassador Vex, That attitude is exactly why the old system failed. When you divide the galaxy into predators and prey, you create a system based on fear and oppression. Our new system is based on mutual respect and cooperation. The discussions that followed were sometimes heated, but they were peaceful. Conflicts that might once have led to wars were being resolved through compromise and creative problem-solving. The Rigel Centauri dispute will be settled through resource sharing and joint colonization, Lee announced at the end of the session. Both species get what they need, and no one has to fight for it. Marshal Seo Min-guk trained the new Galactic Peace Force, a military organization unlike anything the galaxy had ever seen. Instead of being designed for conquest, it was dedicated to protecting the innocent and maintaining the peace between member worlds. Remember, he told the mixed group of human and alien officers, our job is not to fight wars. Our job is to prevent them. We use force only when all other options have failed. The Peace Force included soldiers from every member species, all trained in the same principles and tactics. Former enemies now fought alongside each other against pirates, slavers, and anyone who threatened the new galactic order. Marshal, we've received a distress call from the Outer Rim, reported Captain Yoon. Pirates are attacking a refugee convoy carrying survivors from the old slave worlds. Dispatch the nearest Peace Force squadron. Make sure the refugees reach safety. It was a small incident, but it represented something important. For the first time, the galaxy's military forces existed to protect the weak rather than serve the strong. The years that followed saw transformations that would have been impossible under the old system. Trade between species increased dramatically as barriers were removed. Scientific discoveries accelerated as researchers shared knowledge freely. Living standards improved for billions of beings as resources were distributed more fairly. The refugee camps that had once held millions of displaced beings were transformed into new settlements where former slaves could build free lives. The prison worlds where political dissidents had been held became educational centers, where young beings from all species learned about democracy and cooperation. Fleet Admiral Young Min-ho led the Great Exploration Project, where fleets from dozens of species worked together to map unknown regions of the galaxy. What they found exceeded everyone's expectations. Admiral, the survey teams have discovered over 300 habitable worlds in the previously unexplored sectors, reported his science officer. Most of them show signs of primitive life that could evolve into sapience given time. What's the government's policy on these worlds? Complete protection. No settlement or exploitation until we understand the potential impact on indigenous life. The new constitution guarantees the rights of all sapient species, including those that haven't evolved yet. It was a radical departure from the old way of doing things. Under the Council's rule, new worlds were simply claimed by whoever found them first. Now they were protected as a common heritage for all galactic life. The exploration fleets also made contact with several new sapient species that had been hiding from galactic civilization, afraid of being conquered or enslaved. When they learned about the new government, most chose to join the growing Federation. Dr. Kim Ji-woo, now director of the Galactic Health Organization, worked to eliminate diseases and medical problems that had plagued various species for millennia. With access to the combined medical knowledge of hundreds of worlds, problems that had seemed unsolvable were being cured every day. Doctor, we've successfully treated the genetic disorder that affects 90% of the Andromedan population, reported her assistant, Dr. Chen. The treatment combines human gene therapy with crystalline healing techniques. What about the plague that's been affecting the Outer Rim colonies? Completely eliminated. We developed a vaccine using principles from 5 different species. Medical traditions. The new approach to medicine was saving millions of lives. Instead of each species struggling with health problems in isolation, they were sharing knowledge and resources to benefit everyone. Engineer Oh Dong-min supervised the construction of new cities throughout the galaxy, designed to accommodate the needs of multiple species living together. The cities were marvels of engineering and social planning, proof that different forms of life could not only coexist, but thrive together. Engineer, The new Harmony City project is ahead of schedule, reported his construction manager. The atmospheric systems are working perfectly, providing suitable environments for all 14 species that will be living there. What about the social infrastructure? Schools that can educate young beings from any species, hospitals equipped to treat all forms of life, and recreational facilities that everyone can enjoy together. Captain Lee Daeho stared at the blue hologram floating above his desk. The image showed a star map with red dots scattered across human space. Each red dot marked an attack on human colonies in the past 6 months. To most people, the attacks looked random. Pirates, maybe. Or simple raids for supplies, but Daeho saw something different. He saw a pattern. "Computer, show me the attack dates in order," he said. The dots began to glow one by one. First the outer colonies, then the middle, settlements. Now the attacks were getting closer to Earth. Someone was testing human defenses. Someone was learning how humans fought. Daeho's door chimed. "Come in." Commander Kim walked into the small office. Her face looked worried. "Sir, we got another report from the frontier. The colony on Titan 7 went dark 3 hours ago." "Any survivors?" "A few escape pods made it out. The colonists said the attackers weren't trying to steal anything. They just wanted to see how fast humans could respond to danger." Daeho nodded slowly. He had suspected this for weeks. The attacks weren't random at all. They were tests. But tests for what? On the other side of the galaxy, Admiral Park So-min walked through the gleaming halls of the Galactic Council station. The massive structure orbited a dead star, its metal corridors filled with beings from 100 different worlds. Most of them ignored her completely. So-min had been coming to these meetings for 5 years. Every time she felt like a child trying to sit at the adult table. The other species barely looked at her when she spoke. They talked about human expansion like it was a minor problem. They discussed human technology like it was a joke. "The humans are spreading too fast," said Ambassador Vex, his forearms moving as he talked. The tall gray alien represented the Vorthak Empire, the galaxy's strongest military power. "But their ships are slow, and their weapons are weak. Nothing to worry about." "Agreed," clicked Ambassador Zenth from the Nixari Federation. Her insect-like head turned toward So-min with compound eyes that showed no emotion. "The human colonies use outdated defense systems. Their soldiers are poorly trained. They pose no real threat to galactic order." So-min felt her jaw tighten, but she said nothing. Let them think humans were weak. Let them believe their own lies. She had seen the real reports from human colonies. She knew what human soldiers could do when they had to fight. But these aliens had never seen humans truly angry. "What do you think, Admiral Park?" asked the council chairman, a floating jellyfish-like creature whose voice echoed in the chamber. "I think," So-min said carefully, "that humans prefer peace. But we will defend ourselves if necessary." Several aliens made sounds that might have been laughter. Vex's eyes glowed brighter. "Defend? With what? Your primitive kinetic weapons? Your chemical propulsion systems? Please." So-min smiled, but it wasn't a happy smile. "We make do with what we have." After the meeting, she walked alone through the station's observation deck. Through the massive windows, she could see ships from dozens of different species. Their technology was impressive, she admitted, but impressive technology didn't always win wars. Sometimes the winner was whoever wanted victory more. Dr. Kim. Ji-woo bent over her microscope in the research lab on Luna Base. For 3 weeks, she had been studying tissue samples from the recent alien attacks. What she found made her stomach turn. The attacks weren't just military raids. The aliens had been taking samples. Human blood, skin, hair, even bone fragments. Someone was studying human biology very carefully. "Doctor?" Her assistant, Lee Min-jun, looked over her shoulder at the data screen. "What are those readings?" "Genetic analysis," Ji-woo said quietly. "Someone has been testing human DNA, studying our reaction times, measuring our physical capabilities. This isn't random violence. This is research." Min-jun's face went pale. "Research for what?" Jiwoo looked at the data again. The aliens had tested human blood for diseases, checked human muscle fiber for strength, examined human brain tissue for neural response speed. They were building a complete biological profile of the human species. "I think," she said slowly, "someone is preparing to fight us, and they want to know exactly what they're fighting." She sent an encrypted message to Earth Defense Command immediately. The galaxy might think humans were primitive, but Jiwoo knew better. Humans had one advantage that no other species seemed to understand. When humans were threatened, they didn't just fight back. They fought smart. Commander Choi Hyun-woo crouched behind the twisted metal of what used to be the colony's main gate. New Seoul had been a beautiful place just 6 hours ago. 30,000 people had called it home. Now fires burned across the settlement, and alien ships filled the sky. "Sir, they're moving on the civilian shelters," reported Sergeant Yu over the radio. Her voice was steady, but Hyun-woo could hear the fear underneath. "How many do we have left?" he asked. "Maybe 200 soldiers, against thousands of them." Hyun-woo looked at his rifle. Standard Earth Defense Force equipment. The aliens probably thought it was a toy compared to their energy weapons. They were about to learn differently. "All units, this is Commander Choi," he said into his radio. "They think we're beaten. They think we're weak. Show them what humans do when someone threatens our families." The counterattack began at sunset. Human soldiers moved through the burning colony like ghosts, using every piece of cover, every shadow, every trick they had learned in training. The aliens had better weapons and stronger armor, but they fought like machines. They followed patterns. Humans didn't. Hyun-woo's team hit the alien command post from 3 directions at once. The enemy soldiers were so surprised they barely returned fire. In 15 minutes, the humans had destroyed the aliens' communication equipment and captured their field commander. But more ships were coming. Hyun-woo could see them descending through the smoke-filled sky. Dozens of them. His radio crackled, with reports from other human positions. They were all running out of ammunition. They had fought well, but they were just too outnumbered. "Sir?" Sergeant Yu's voice was quiet now. "Orders?" Hyun-woo looked at the alien prisoner. The creature was tall and covered in scales with eyes that glowed in the dark. It had been staring at him with something that might have been respect. "You fight better than expected," the alien said in broken human language. "But this is only the beginning. The Council has decided. Humans are too dangerous to live." "What do you mean?" Hyun-woo demanded. "Your species spreads too fast, adapts too quickly, learns too well. The galaxy cannot allow humans to grow stronger." The alien's eyes dimmed slightly. "Soon, all human worlds will burn. Your Earth will be destroyed. This is the way." Hyun-woo felt ice in his chest. This wasn't just an attack on New Seoul. It was the beginning of something much worse. He activated his emergency transmitter, sending a priority message directly to Earth Defense Command. As alien soldiers surrounded his position, he spoke quickly into the device. "This is Commander Choi Hyun-woo, New Seoul Colony Defense. The aliens aren't just attacking us randomly. This is planned. They're coming for everyone. All human worlds are targets. They're not just testing us anymore. They're preparing to wipe us out completely." The transmitter went dead as an energy blast destroyed it. Hyun-woo drew his sidearm and looked at his remaining soldiers. They were young, most of them. They had families back on Earth. They deserved to know the truth. "Listen up," he said. "This isn't just about our colony anymore. This is about the survival of every human being in the galaxy. We're going to make our last stand here, and we're going to make it count. When our people back home hear about what happened today, they'll know what's coming, and they'll be ready." The alien ships opened fire, turning the night sky bright with deadly light. But Hyun-woo's message was already racing through space toward Earth, carrying a warning that would change everything. The galaxy thought humans were weak. They were about to discover how wrong they were. Intelligence Officer Yoon Mi-kyung worked through her 3rd cup of coffee as she stared at the alien transmission on her screen. For 6 days, she had been trying to decode the message intercepted from the attack on New Seoul. Now, finally, the computer had broken through the encryption. What she read made her hand shake. The transmission was from the Galactic Council to all member species. It contained detailed plans for something called Operation Clean Sweep. Every human colony had been mapped, every defense station had been studied, every major population center on Earth had been marked with targeting coordinates. The aliens weren't planning more random attacks. They were planning total extinction. "Oh no," Mi-kyung whispered. She reached for her secure communicator with trembling fingers. "This is Intelligence Officer Yoon to Defense Command. Priority Alpha. We have a major problem. Fleet Admiral Song." Taijun read the decoded message 3 times before he fully understood what it meant. He sat in his office deep beneath the Swiss mountains, surrounded by screens showing human space. Each dot of light represented a human world. According to the alien plans, every single one would be destroyed within the next 30 days. "How many people?" he asked General Park, who stood beside his desk. "Total human population across all colonies on Earth?" "About 12 billion. Song closed his eyes. 12 billion people. Men, women, children. All marked for death because the galaxy's leaders had decided humans were too dangerous to exist. "What's their reasoning?" he asked. General Park pulled up another section of the intercepted files. "According to this, humans breed too fast, expand too aggressively, and adapt too quickly. The Galactic Council considers us a threat to galactic stability." "Galactic stability," Song repeated. "They want to kill 12 billion people for galactic stability." "Yes, sir. The plan calls for simultaneous strikes on all human worlds. They want to finish us before we can coordinate a response." Song stood and walked to the large window that showed the hidden construction bays carved into the mountain. Through the reinforced glass, he could see the shapes of massive ships being built in secret. The aliens thought humans were primitive. They had no idea what humanity had been preparing. "How long until the fleet is ready?" he asked. "Most ships are already complete. We just need crews. Then get them. It's time to stop hiding." "Captain," Nam Soo-jin pushed her scout ship's engines as hard as they would go. She had been racing between human colonies for 2 days, trying to warn them about the coming attack, but she was too late for most of them. The colony on Haven Prime was gone. Nothing left but burning ruins and empty space where 30,000 people used to live. New Terra had suffered the same fate. So had Freedom Station and the mining colonies in the asteroid belt. The aliens were moving faster than anyone had expected. They weren't waiting for their planned simultaneous strike. They were destroying human settlements one by one, testing their weapons and tactics on defenseless civilians. Soo-jin's communications officer, Lieutenant Han, looked up from his console. "Captain, I'm picking up a transmission from Harmony Colony. They're under attack right now." "How far?" 2 hours at maximum speed. Soo-jin knew they wouldn't arrive in time to help fight off the attack. But maybe they could save some survivors. Maybe they could gather evidence of what was really happening. "Take us there," she ordered. When they arrived, Harmony Colony was already dead. The alien ships had finished their work and departed, leaving behind a world that would never support life again. The entire planet's surface had been burned from orbit. Even the atmosphere was gone, but Soo-jin's sensors detected something, a small signal, very weak, coming from an escape pod hidden in the planet's moon. They found 12 survivors, 12 people out of 80,000. The leader was a woman named Dr. Chen, who had managed to record everything on a portable data unit. "They weren't just destroying the colony," Dr. Chen said, her voice hollow with shock. "They were testing different weapons, seeing how much damage each type would do. They were experimenting on us." Soo-jin looked at the recorded data. The aliens had used 3 different kinds of weapons on Harmony Colony. They had measured the effects carefully, timing how long it took to kill different numbers of people. "They're preparing for Earth," Soo-jin realized. "They're figuring out the most efficient way to kill as many humans as possible." Engineer Oh Dong-min stood in the center of the largest construction bay humanity had ever built. The facility was hidden inside a hollowed-out asteroid, disguised as a simple mining operation. To any alien observer, it looked like humans were just digging for rare metals. They had no idea that humans were building the most powerful warships in galactic history. "Status report," Dong-min said to his team leaders. Dreadnought construction is 95% complete, reported Chief Engineer Lim. All weapon systems are installed and tested. The new armor plating is stronger than anything the aliens have. Fighter production? We've built over 3,000 advanced fighters. Each one is faster and more maneuverable than alien interceptors. Dongmin nodded with satisfaction. For 20 years, humans had been secretly building this fleet. They had studied captured alien technology, improved on it, and created weapons the galaxy had never seen before. The aliens thought human technology was primitive. They were about to learn how wrong they were. How many ships total? He asked. 200 capital ships, 600 cruisers, 1,500 destroyers, and 3,000 fighters, plus support vessels. It was the largest military fleet any single species had ever assembled, and the galaxy had no idea it existed. Begin moving them to staging areas, Dongmin ordered. It's time to show the galaxy what humans have been building. General, Kang Mi-rae read reports from resistance cells across human space. Even on worlds the aliens had conquered, humans were fighting back. They were using guerrilla tactics, hitting alien supply lines and gathering intelligence about enemy movements. The reports all said the same thing. The aliens were confident, almost careless. They had left their core systems virtually undefended, moving most of their military forces to human space for the final assault on Earth. They think they've already won, Kang said to her staff. They've committed everything to destroying us. Their homeworlds are wide open. What about their reserves? Asked Colonel Seo. According to our intelligence, they don't think they need reserves. The Galactic Council believes their combined fleets are so superior to human forces that this will be over quickly. Kang smiled grimly. The aliens were about to learn that humans didn't fight like other species. When humans were backed into a corner, they didn't just defend themselves. They struck back at their enemy's weakest points. Send orders to all resistance cells, she said. Begin Phase 2 operations. Target alien supply depots, communication centers, and command posts. Make them regret leaving their home systems unprotected. The final piece of the puzzle came from the deepest levels of Earth's government. President Moon had called an emergency session of the Defense Council. Around the table sat the leaders of humanity's military, intelligence, and scientific communities. The aliens have given us an ultimatum, President Moon announced. Surrender unconditionally within 72 hours or face complete annihilation. What are our options? Asked Admiral Park. According to them, we have no options. They expect us to surrender or die. Fleet Admiral Song stood up. Mr. President, I think it's time to reveal the truth about human preparedness. Are you sure we're ready? We've been ready for 5 years. Our fleets are in position, our allies are prepared, our intelligence networks are active across the galaxy. The only thing we were waiting for was a clear act of aggression from the Galactic Council. President Moon nodded slowly. And now we have it. Yes, sir. They've declared war on humanity. They've begun systematic genocide of human colonies. They've given us an ultimatum. Under any definition, this is an act of war. Then it's time to respond. Song activated a secure communicator. All units, this is Fleet Admiral Song. Authorization code Alpha 77. Execute Operation Retribution. Show the galaxy what humanity is really capable of. Across human space, hidden bases came alive with activity. Ships that had been disguised as civilian vessels revealed their true nature. Weapons platforms that looked like mining stations powered up their defense systems. Soldiers who had been posing as colonists picked up military-grade equipment. The galaxy had spent decades believing humans were weak, primitive, and defenseless. In 72 hours, they would discover that humanity had been preparing for this war all along, and humans were very good at war. Supreme Admiral Lim Jae-hyuk stood on the bridge of the massive dreadnought Terra's Wrath as it emerged from the hidden base inside the asteroid field. Around him, dozens of other capital ships were powering up their engines for the first time. The sight was magnificent and terrifying. Admiral, all fleet elements are reporting ready, said his communications officer, Commander Park. How many ships total? 3,742 combat vessels, sir. Every hidden base has activated. Every disguised platform has revealed its true purpose. Lim nodded with satisfaction. For 25 years, humanity had been building this fleet in secret. The aliens thought humans had maybe a few hundred outdated ships. They were about to face nearly 4,000 of the most advanced warships ever constructed. "Signal to all ships," Lim commanded. The galaxy underestimated humanity. Today we show them the price of that mistake. Captain Ryu Haiwan felt the deck of the dreadnought Soul's Vengeance vibrate beneath her feet as the massive ship's engines came to full power. Through the bridge windows, she could see the alien fleet approaching Earth. Thousands of ships representing every major species in the galaxy, all coming to destroy humanity's homeworld. They expected to find a defenseless planet protected by a handful of primitive vessels. Instead, they found themselves facing the largest military fleet in galactic history. "Captain, enemy fleet is entering weapons range," reported her tactical officer. "Are our new weapons ready?" "Yes, ma'am. All systems show green. The aliens have never seen anything like what we're about to show them." Ryu smiled. Human engineers had studied alien technology for decades, then improved on it. The weapons on human ships were faster, more accurate, and more powerful than anything the galaxy had ever produced. "Target the lead Vorthak battleship. Show them what human engineering can do." The Soul's Vengeance fired its main guns. The energy beams that struck the alien ship were so powerful they cut through its shields and armor like paper. The massive Vorthak vessel, which had seemed invincible just moments before, exploded in a ball of fire. Across the alien fleet, communication channels erupted with confusion and panic. They had expected an easy victory. Instead, their most powerful ship had been destroyed by a single human vessel. Commander Seo Wu-jin led his squadron of strike fighters through the chaos of the space battle. The small, fast ships moved between the massive capital vessels like deadly insects, striking at weak points and disappearing before the aliens could respond. "Blue leader to all fighters," Seo said over the radio. "Remember your training. These alien pilots fly like machines. They follow patterns. We don't." His fighter dove toward a Nexari cruiser, dodging the alien ship's defensive fire with moves that seemed impossible. The aliens had better technology, but human pilots had something more important. They had intuition, creativity, and the ability to improvise. SEO's wingman, Lieutenant Kim Da-bin, followed him through a spiral maneuver that brought them under the cruiser's shields. Her missiles struck the ship's engine section, causing a chain reaction that tore the vessel apart from the inside. "Scratch one cruiser," she reported calmly. Around them, other human fighters were achieving similar results. The aliens had expected primitive human craft that would be easy targets. Instead, they faced pilots who had grown up playing video games, racing cars, and competing in sports that required split-second reflexes. Human pilots didn't just fly their ships, they became part of them. Admiral Bae Young-suk coordinated Earth's orbital defenses from the command center buried deep beneath the planet's surface. On her screens, she could see the battle raging in space above. The alien fleet was enormous, but it was also confused and disorganized. "Admiral, the enemy is trying to break through our outer defense line," reported Colonel Han. "Let them come, our defensive platforms are ready." What the aliens saw as they approached Earth was a fortress world. Weapons platforms surrounded the planet like a deadly net. Military bases on the moon and nearby asteroids added their firepower to Earth's defenses. The homeworld of humanity was protected by more weapons than any single planet in galactic history. But the real surprise was still coming. "Admiral, our deep space sensors are detecting massive energy signatures," reported the sensor operator. "Something big is approaching from the outer system." Young-suk smiled. That would be Admiral Kim with the reserve fleet. The aliens attacking. Earth suddenly found themselves caught between two forces. Behind them, a second human fleet emerged from hiding places throughout the solar system. These ships had been disguised as space stations, asteroid miners, and scientific research vessels. 3D. Trap was complete. Colonel Young Min-ho crouched in the ruins of Geneva as alien ground forces landed in the city. The enemy soldiers were tall, heavily armored, and armed with energy weapons that could cut through steel. They moved in perfect formations, following tactical procedures that had been developed over centuries. They had never fought humans before. "All units, this is Colonel Young," he whispered into his radio. "Let them get settled in, then show them how humans fight on their own world." The alien soldiers had landed expecting to face desperate resistance from a primitive species. Instead, they found themselves fighting an enemy that refused to follow any rules. Human soldiers attacked from sewers, from rooftops, from abandoned buildings. They used the city itself as a weapon, collapsing bridges to trap alien vehicles, flooding tunnels to force the enemy into kill zones, and turning every street corner into a potential ambush site. "Sir, the aliens are requesting reinforcements," reported Sergeant Yu. "Their ground commander says human resistance is much stronger than expected." "How much stronger?" "He's asking for 10 times more troops than they originally planned to send." Young grinned. The aliens had studied human biology, but they had never studied human psychology. They didn't understand that humans fought harder when they were defending their homes. They didn't know that humans could turn any environment into a battlefield. "Tell all units to increase pressure. Make them regret coming to our world." The battle for Earth raged for 18 hours. In space, human fleets destroyed alien ships with weapons the enemy had never seen before. On the ground, human soldiers used tactics that confused and frustrated alien commanders. By the end of the first day, the alien invasion force was in full retreat. Half their ships had been destroyed, and their ground forces were trapped in cities that had become death traps. But the real shock came when the aliens tried to call for reinforcements. Their long-range communications were being jammed by human ships that had appeared throughout their territory. The massive alien fleet that had come to destroy Earth was cut off from any support. "Admiral, we're receiving a transmission from the alien fleet commander," reported the communications officer. "Put it through," Lim ordered. The image of a Vorthak general appeared on the screen. His 4 eyes showed fear and confusion. "Human commander, we request a temporary ceasefire to negotiate terms." "Terms?" Lim asked calmly. "You came here to exterminate my entire species. What terms do you think you're in a position to request?" "Our intelligence was wrong. Human military capability is far greater than we believed. We made an error in judgment." "Yes, you did. You thought humans were weak because we preferred peace. You confused restraint with inability. Now you're learning the difference." The alien general's image flickered as another explosion lit up the space behind him. "What do you want?" "Surrender," Lim said simply. "Complete and unconditional surrender of all forces in human space. Your ships will be impounded. Your soldiers will be imprisoned. Your governments will explain to the galaxy why they attempted genocide. That is impossible. The Galactic Council will never accept such terms." Lim's smile was cold. "General, look around you. Your fleet is destroyed. Your reinforcements aren't coming. And this is just the beginning. You attacked our colonies, murdered our civilians, and threatened our homeworld. Now you're going to learn what happens when you make humanity angry." The transmission ended. Around Earth, the surviving alien ships began to surrender one by one. The great invasion fleet that had come to destroy humanity was defeated, scattered, and broken. But the war was just beginning. The aliens had started this fight, but humans were going to finish it. 47, with more every hour. Our intelligence estimates that the Galactic Council has lost effective control over Hay Supreme Commander Moon Ji-hoon stood in the war room beneath Seoul, surrounded by holographic displays showing human forces across the galaxy. 6 weeks ago, the aliens had expected to wipe out humanity in a matter of days. Now human fleets controlled key systems throughout known space. "Commander, we're receiving surrender offers from 12 more alien governments," reported Admiral Kim. "They're asking for protection from the remaining Council forces. What's our response?" "We're accepting their surrender and offering them the chance to join the Liberation Coalition. Most of them are eager to help fight their former oppressors." Moon smiled grimly. The galaxy's power structure was collapsing faster than anyone had imagined possible. Species that had been allies for centuries were turning against each other, as the truth about the Council's genocide plans became public knowledge. "How many systems do we control now?" 347, with more joining us every day. The Council's authority is limited to maybe 50 core worlds. It was an incredible transformation. The species that had been marked for extinction was now leading a galactic revolution. Admiral Huang Yejin watched from her flagship as the Liberation Fleet approached the world of Kepler-7, the first human colony to fall to alien attack. The planet had been sterilized from orbit, its entire population murdered in the opening days of the war. Today they would make the killers pay. Admiral, the alien occupation force is requesting permission to evacuate, reported her communications officer. Denied. They came here to commit genocide. They can face the consequences of their choices. The battle for Kepler-7 lasted 3 hours. When it was over, the alien forces that had murdered innocent civilians were either dead or prisoners. But Yejin's mission wasn't finished yet. Signal to the medical ships. Begin landing operations. We have people to save. Hidden in deep bunkers and cave systems, human survivors had endured weeks of alien occupation. They emerged now to see human ships in the sky and human soldiers securing the planet's surface. "Ma'am, we've found over 3,000 survivors," reported Colonel Park. "They've been hiding in the old mining tunnels since the attack began." But the liberation of human worlds was just the beginning. Yejin's fleet moved on to alien colonies, worlds where oppressed species had been waiting for someone strong enough to break their chains. "Admiral, we're approaching the Tenthari slave world," reported her navigation officer. "Intelligence reports over 50 million beings held in forced labor camps. Are the local guards willing to surrender? They're requesting negotiations. Tell them they have 1 hour to release all prisoners and lay down their weapons. After that, we come down and take the planet by force." The alien overseers chose to surrender. When the prison gates opened, beings from dozens of different species poured out into freedom. Many of them had been slaves for their entire lives, born into bondage that seemed permanent. Now they were free, and they knew who had freed them. Captain An Seok-jin continued his broadcast throughout alien space, but now his messages had a different purpose. Instead of just exposing the Council's crimes, he was offering hope to oppressed populations across the galaxy. "People of Rigel 5, he said, looking directly into the camera. "Your government tells you that humans are invaders who want to destroy your way of life, but we've liberated 17 worlds in your sector. Ask the people there if they want to go back to Council rule." The broadcasts were having an incredible effect. On world after world, local populations were rising up against their governments, demanding to join the human-led coalition. "Your rulers call us primitive because we believe all species deserve freedom. They call us dangerous because we refuse to accept that some beings are born to serve others. If that makes us primitive and dangerous, then we're proud of it." Behind him, displays showed liberated worlds where former slaves were now building new lives, where oppressed species were forming their own governments, where the galaxy's rigid caste system was crumbling. "The Council wants you to fear us because they know that once you see what freedom looks like, you'll never accept slavery again." General Yu Mi-jin received reports from ground commanders across the expanding war zone. What had started as humanity's desperate fight for survival had become something unprecedented in galactic history. A war of liberation that was freeing billions of beings from oppression. "General, the Zephyrian Republic has officially joined the coalition," reported Colonel Kim. "They're contributing 40 ships and 50,000 troops to our cause." "What about the others?" "The Crystalline Collective is providing technical support. The aquatic worlds are offering their shipyards for fleet construction. Even some former Council species are switching sides." You studied the strategic map. The galaxy was dividing into 2 camps, the old order represented by the Galactic Council and the new coalition led by humanity, but the balance was shifting rapidly in humanity's favor. The Council's biggest advantage was always that their subject species were too divided to resist effectively, she noted. Now we're giving them unity and hope. That changes everything. Her aide, Major Lee, pointed to the map. "General, our intelligence suggests the Council is planning a counterattack. They're gathering their remaining forces for one final push." "Where?" "They're concentrating everything they have left around their capital system. If they can break our advance there, they might be able to restore their authority." Yu nodded. The Council was making their last stand. Everything would be decided in the next few weeks. Fleet Admiral Zhang Dongwu led the combined coalition fleet toward the Galactic Council's capital system. Behind him came ships from dozens of species, all united in their determination to end the Council's tyrannical rule. "Admiral, enemy fleet strength is estimated at over 2,000 ships," reported his intelligence officer. "It's everything they have left." "And our numbers?" 3,500 coalition vessels, including contingents from 43 different species. It was the largest fleet ever assembled, representing the combined military might of species that had been enemies for centuries. Now they fought together against their common oppressor. "Signal to all ships," Zhang commanded. "Today we end the Council's reign of terror. Today we prove that no empire built on fear and oppression can stand against people fighting for their freedom." The Council's fleet was impressive, but it was also desperate. Their crews knew they were fighting for a system that had already collapsed across most of the galaxy. Their morale was broken, their unity shattered by the defection of dozens of member species. The coalition fleet, on the other hand, was fighting for something they believed in. Every ship carried beings who had experienced liberation firsthand, who knew what victory would mean for billions of others still under Council rule. Admiral Park Subin coordinated the psychological warfare campaign that accompanied the military offensive. Her teams had been broadcasting into Council space for weeks, encouraging military units to surrender rather than die for a lost cause. "Admiral, we're receiving reports of mass defections from the Council fleet," reported her communications officer. "Entire squadrons are switching sides without firing a shot. How many ships have defected?" "Over 300 in the last 6 hours. Their crews are saying they refuse to fight for leaders who planned genocide. It was an unprecedented collapse." The Council's authority had been based on the belief that their rule was inevitable, that resistance was impossible. Humanity had shattered that belief, and now the entire system was coming apart. What about their leadership? "The Council members are in their bunkers on the capital world. They're still issuing orders, but fewer and fewer units are following them." Park smiled. The Council had ruled through fear for so long that they had forgotten how to inspire loyalty. When their subjects stopped being afraid, their power simply evaporated. Captain Kim Tae-young watched the final battle unfold from the bridge of his battleship. The Council's remaining loyal forces were putting up a desperate fight, but the outcome was no longer in doubt. Superior numbers, better technology, and higher morale had given the coalition an overwhelming advantage. "Captain, the enemy flagship is requesting parley," reported his communications officer. "Put them through." The image that appeared on screen showed the Council chairman, the jellyfish-like being who had ruled the galaxy for over a century. His usual arrogance had been replaced by obvious fear. "Human Commander, we are prepared to discuss terms for a ceasefire." "There will be no ceasefire," Kim replied calmly. "You started this war by attempting genocide. It ends with your complete surrender." "That is unacceptable. The Council has ruled this galaxy for millennia. We maintain legitimate authority over all inhabited systems. Your authority died when you ordered the murder of 12 billion humans. Your legitimacy ended when you enslaved entire species. Your rule is over." The transmission ended. Hours later, the Council's last military forces surrendered unconditionally. Director Lee Haiwan stood in what had once been the Galactic Council's assembly chamber. The massive hall, which had echoed with speeches about racial purity and species hierarchy for generations, was now filled with representatives from hundreds of liberated worlds. Fleet Admiral Han Gi-seok watched the tactical display showing alien space from his command ship Incheon Rising. For 3 days, human fleets had been moving into position throughout the galaxy. While the aliens focused on their failed attack, on Earth humanity had been preparing the largest counter-offensive in galactic history. "Admiral, all strike groups are in position," reported his operations officer, Commander Lee. "Enemy status?" "Their fleets are scattered and disorganized. Most of their ships are either at Earth or trying to get back to defend their home systems. Their communication networks are disrupted." Han nodded. The aliens had made a critical mistake. They had committed almost everything to the attack on Earth. leaving their own territories nearly defenseless. Now they were about to pay for that error. Signal to all fleet commanders, Han ordered. Execute Operation Thunderbolt. Show the galaxy that humans strike back. Captain Shin Da-eun felt the familiar vibration as her battleship dropped out of hyperspace. Through the bridge windows, she could see the blue-green world of Vorthak Prime, the military capital of the galaxy's most powerful empire. The planet was surrounded by defensive stations and patrol fleets that had protected it for over 1,000 years. Today, that protection would end. Captain, sensors show minimal defensive forces, reported Lieutenant Park. Most of their fleet, still trying to get back from Earth. How minimal? Maybe 50 ships compared to our 300. Da-eun smiled. The Vorthak had been so confident in their superiority that they had never imagined anyone would attack their home world. Their defenses were designed to stop raids, not a full-scale invasion. All ships, this is Captain Shin. The Vorthak Empire started this war by trying to exterminate humanity. Today we show them that actions have consequences. The human fleet opened fire on the orbital defense platforms surrounding Vorthak Prime. The stations had been built to withstand conventional weapons, but human technology was far from conventional. Beam weapons that cut through the strongest armor struck the platforms, turning them into expanding clouds of debris. The few Vorthak ships that tried to respond were overwhelmed within minutes. Their crews had trained to fight other alien species, using established tactics. They had no idea how to fight humans who used unpredictable strategies and superior technology. Captain, we're receiving surrender signals from the remaining defense forces, reported the communications officer. Accept their surrender, but maintain weapons lock. We're not here to destroy their world. We're here to show them that human lives have value. Commodore Lee Sang-wook stood in the engineering bay of his cruiser Daegu's Thunder as his teams worked on captured alien technology. What the aliens saw as their greatest advantage, humans saw as an opportunity to learn and improve. Commodore, we've successfully integrated the Nexari shield generators with our own power systems, reported Chief Engineer Nam. The new combination is 30% more efficient than either system alone. What about weapons? We've modified the Vorthak energy cannons to work with our targeting computers. Accuracy is up by 40%. This was humanity's greatest strength, Sang-wook realized. Other species developed technology slowly, following traditions that were thousands of years old. Humans adapted and improved constantly, combining ideas from different sources to create something entirely new. How long to install these upgrades on the rest of the fleet? 6 hours for shields, 12 for weapons. Do it. By tomorrow, every human ship will be more powerful than it was yesterday. Throughout the battle zone, human ships were performing similar modifications. They took the best technology from defeated alien vessels and made it better. What should have been humanity's weakness, their primitive technology, became their greatest strength. Major Im Soo-yeon led her special operations team through the corridors of the Nexari Federation's central command station. The insect-like aliens had built their facility to be impregnable, with multiple redundant security systems and automated defenses. They hadn't planned for humans who could think like burglars. Major, we've reached the primary computer core, reported Sergeant Kim over the radio. Any resistance? The station's security systems are designed to stop frontal attacks. They don't know how to handle infiltrators who came in through the garbage disposal system. Soo-yeon grinned. Human special forces didn't fight like alien soldiers. They used creativity, improvisation, and tactics that no alien computer could predict. While the station's defenses focused on the main entrances, humans had found a dozen different ways inside. Plant the charges and download everything you can. Intelligence wants to know how the Galactic Council planned this genocide. Her team worked quickly and efficiently. Within an hour, they had stolen the Federation's most classified files and planted explosives throughout the station's critical systems. By the time the aliens realized what was happening, the humans were already gone. The explosion that destroyed the command station could be seen from orbit. With it went the Federation's ability to coordinate their military forces across a dozen. Star Systems Admiral Ko Hyun-seok watched his fleet's attack on the alien supply depot from the bridge of his flagship. The facility was enormous, designed to support military operations across half the galaxy. It contained enough weapons, fuel, and supplies to equip 1,000 warships. "Admiral, the depot's defenses are concentrating on our main attack force," reported his tactical officer. "Perfect. Signal to Strike Group Beta. Begin your approach from the opposite vector." The aliens defending the depot were following standard military doctrine, concentrating their forces to repel the strongest threat. They didn't realize that humans had split their attack into multiple smaller groups, each approaching from a different direction. When the human ships struck from 6 different angles simultaneously, the depot's defenses collapsed within minutes. The facility that had taken decades to build was reduced to wreckage in less than an hour. "How many more supply depots are on our target list?" Ko asked. 17, sir, all protected by similar defensive systems." "Then they'll all fall the same way." The aliens built their logistics network assuming they would always be on the offensive. They never prepared to defend their supply lines from an enemy who fights smart. Across the galaxy, similar attacks were taking place. Human forces struck at alien infrastructure with surgical precision, targeting the systems that kept their military machine running. Communication relays, fuel depots, weapons factories, and command centers fell one by one. The aliens had expected a desperate defense of Earth. Instead, they found themselves fighting a coordinated offensive that struck at their most vulnerable points simultaneously. Captain An Seok Jin stood before a camera in his ship's communication bay, preparing to broadcast a message throughout alien space. Behind him, displays showed human fleets achieving victory after victory against supposedly superior forces. "People of the galaxy," he began, "your leaders told you that humans were a threat that had to be eliminated. They said we were primitive, aggressive, and dangerous. They were right about 2 of those things." The message was being transmitted on every alien communication frequency, overriding their official broadcasts with the truth about the war. "We are aggressive when someone tries to murder our families. We are dangerous when someone threatens innocent people. But we are not primitive. For 25 years we have been preparing for this moment. We knew this war was coming because we studied your history. We saw how you treated other species that grew too strong or spread too fast." Images flashed on the screen showing destroyed alien fleets, captured alien bases, and human soldiers accepting the surrender of enemy forces. "Your leaders made a mistake. They thought strength meant having the biggest weapons or the most ships. They never understood that real strength comes from fighting for something you believe in. Humans believe in freedom. We believe in justice. We believe that no species has the right to exterminate another just because they're afraid of competition." The broadcast was reaching billions of beings across hundreds of worlds. Many of them were learning the truth about their governments' actions for the first time. "The war your leaders started is almost over. But the peace that follows will be different. There will be no more Galactic Council deciding which species lives or dies. No more empires ruling over others through fear. The galaxy is changing, and humanity is just the beginning." General Yu Mijin received reports from ground commanders across a dozen alien worlds. Human forces were not just winning military victories. They were liberating entire populations that had been oppressed by the Galactic Council for generations. "General, we've secured the prison camps on Altair 4, reported Colonel Song. "We found over 1 million beings from 30 different species, all held as political prisoners. What's their status?" "Grateful. Many of them want to join our fight against the Council. They've been waiting centuries for someone strong enough to challenge the established order." Similar reports were coming in from across alien space. Humans weren't just defeating the galaxy's military forces, they were inspiring a revolution. Species that had been subjugated for millennia were rising up against their oppressors. "How many worlds have declared independence from the Council?" Yu asked.